Thank you so much for attending my PowerPoint presentation on Marci, Dota's anime waifu. Marci is a melee universal whatever hero whose most iconic feature is flipping you over like a hamburger patty and then eating your ass. This reputation primarily stems from her ultimate Unleash, which reworks her right clicks into a series of 5 attacks that end with a big ol' boom at the end of each sequence. This makes her extremely good at delivering on-hit effects, and she's able to turn any carry into a pile of mulch regardless of how much gold or XP they've accumulated up to that point. It's Dota 2's version of Dragon Install from the Guilty Gear franchise, and if you're a big fan of Marci, you're probably intimately familiar with that game's cast. Funnily enough, that's actually a bit of an outlier, because the rest of Marci's kit is dedicated to having a good time with all of her pals. Her E, Bodyguard, passively grants her both attack damage and lifesteal, and she can use the active component to help buff an ally. They will temporarily gain 75% of the bonus stats for themselves, and if they are attacked and Marci is near their attacker, she will automatically hit them back. When combined with her ultimate, this can make her a surprise counter to a lot of melee core heroes, but believe it or not, this is actually the fairest the ability has ever been. Moving on to her suite of CC abilities, she has Dispose, which is a unit target suplex. She chucks the enemy hero behind her, dealing damage and inflicting a slow, which makes it an amazing setup ability both in teamfights and for cheesy bullshit in the laning phase. You can also grab allies, which can help relocate them out of a tough spot, but Valve recently changed it so that you can no longer force an allied hero to escape the gravitational grip of Enigma's black hole. But if you don't want them to suffer alone, you can instead choose to join them by casting Rebound. This is a strange vector target AoE stun, where you must first bounce off of an allied unit, and then wherever you land will be stunned and take some damage. It's an amazing burst movement tool, and if you pop ulti in the trees and then use Rebound to get into the middle of the fight, you can officially announce to the lobby that it is now party time. That ability is also reworked by one of her facets, and it's the one that I prefer in the current meta. Pick Me Up allows Marci to grab whatever allied unit she targets with Rebound and take them with her, the physics of which are never fully explained. The end result is being able to take your offlaner from the edges of a fight right into the middle, regardless of whether their Blink Dagger is on cooldown or not. Defensively, it's even better, because it works on allied heroes who are stunned, so you can run in, grab your carry, and let him wait out the rest of that Marana arrow until he can finally pop BKB. The alternative is Buddy System, which ups the 75% bonus stats from Bodyguard up to 100. It's not very good. All of these things combine to create a hero who's incredibly active in the mid-game, being able to pop ulti and run a team fight like nobody's business, and in the late game they can pick up a basher and become an anti-carry. As for her lore, it's so in-depth and fully explained that they even made an anime series, currently available on Netflix with a 7.5 rating on Metacritic. I haven't seen it because I don't like anime, but based on fan discussion and a lot of the art that I've seen, I think she walks around the entire time naked. Now later on, we'll talk about how she's a complete gorilla, but for now, I want to talk a little bit about how her abilities contribute to a teamwork-focused playstyle. Between Rebound and Suplex, which I'll be calling it from now on, she has the ability to partner up with pretty much any hero and bring out the best of them, and that's before getting to talking about Bodyguard. Suplex is an amazing offensive tool because it allows you to reach through the creep wave, grab your opponent, throw them behind you, and then capitalize on the slow so that you and your lane partner can wail on them. That's already pretty good all on its own, but when you combine it with a circle on the ground or an AoE stun, tools that most offlaners have access to, this ability all on its own becomes a constant kill threat. You can also do cheesy shit, such as suplexing the enemy hero under your own tower and then body blocking to make them tank a bunch of tier 1 backshots. But flipping opponents like burgers isn't enough for Marci, because she can also target her allies. This trait is especially powerful against chain stun heroes like Lion and Shadow Shaman, because they use one of their stuns, you suplex your ally away from them, and they're now out of the range for their other one. It's also a great defensive tool for range carries who really need to stay away from the enemy team, such as Drow Ranger and Sniper. With the press of a single button, Marci can fix their garbage positioning skills, while also creating a barrier between the opponents and their desired target. And while it no longer works against Black Hole or Chronosphere, you can always use it to get down Mr. President and save your Oblivious Core from an incoming skill shot. Rebound is quite similar in that it can be used both offensively and defensively, and just like Suplex, you can combine it for some very cheesy kills in the lane. With the Pick Me Up facet equipped, you and your offlaner, or even your carry, can go for a trip in your favorite rocket ship, landing on top of the enemy laners, ready to unleash whatever spells you have. And even if you decide to go for a solo mission, it's still a big fat AoE stun that deals a significant chunk of damage, making it a great trading tool and a way to secure range creeps. If you don't go the pick-me-up facet, it doesn't have a whole lot of defensive utility outside of presenting the threat that is Marci herself, but with that facet, it becomes one of the best defensive tools in the entire game. It's a vengeful spirit ulti with a very low cooldown, and it poses no risk to the person using it. Because both of her basic abilities promote teamwork and are incredibly basic, you can pick any random hero in Dota and you will be able to find a synergy with Marci halfway through the game. And if your teammates are all too stupid to take advantage of that, you can always just buy a Helm of the Dominator, because the red Hellbear will never let you down. And now for the real reason you picked Marci, which is the ability to hit level 6 and immediately turn your lane opposition into a puddle of mashed potatoes. Her ultimate Unleash gives Marci access to some of the strongest and most consistent single-target physical damage in the entirety of Dota. Upon casting it, Marci's right-click gets converted to a flurry of 5 blows with a 1.5 second interval between each combo. Each individual attack deals a full right-click's worth of damage, and it uncaps her attack speed so she can hit harder and faster than almost any other hero. And then, after completing your series and beating their booty cheeks like bongo drums, it then emits a magical damage pulse that deals both movement and attack speed slow. Not only is this even more damage, which you totally didn't need, but it also prevents them from being able to turn around and man-fight you in any meaningful way. And because those combos of 5 attacks come out in such a fast sequence, this also makes Marci amazing at applying on-hit effects, and let's be real here, I'm really just talking about Skull Basher. In the same way that Ursa, after he hits W, is basically guaranteed to get a bash proc, Marci has access to that on a much more frequent basis. So now you're in a position where you're taking an unholy amount of physical damage, some magical damage on top of it, you can't attack back, you can't slow, and every now and again, you're going to get stunned. And this doesn't even take into account the fact that she has access to both suplex and rebound in the middle of her ultimate. This ability gives her a power spike on par with Doom, where once Marci hits 6, you're going to have to leave the lane, because if you stay, she's going to make you leave in a body bag. It also gives her a distinct sense of inevitability, because even if the Marci is having a bad game, as soon as she picks up a Skull Basher and a BKB, she is going to out-carry your carry. And don't even think about what's going to happen to your support duo, because by the time Unleash is over, those dogs will never bark again. Mr. President, a 5th bonus video has hit the Patreon, but I can only show 4 because one of them will likely get my Steam account banned. You can sign up today to get access to about an hour and a half of Patreon exclusive content, and if you pay enough and tell me your address, I'll send a letter to your house. Link is in the description if you'd like to check it out, and if you're already a patron, thank you very much for your continued support. Now, if all of this sounds appealing to you, or you downloaded Duolingo for the sole purpose of one day watching anime without subtitles, here is how to play Marci. Step 1 is to buy a body pillow featuring her, but the only one I can find is a weird AI-generated image being sold on a sketchy Russian Temu website, so if you have drawing skills, I guess step 1 is to make your own. Step 2 is to figure out which position you want to play, because in the current meta, Marci can be played as almost any of them, though position 1 is a little bit sketchy. She was a top-tier pick for the role around the previous TI, but in the current meta, I think she works best as a position 2. She's great at ganking, can play second fiddle to a fed position 1, and she can take full advantage of that insane level 6 power spike. The downside of this is that you lose out on some of the teamwork components early on, but that's okay because you can spam rebound on the enemy mid laner off of your own range creep and somehow win the lane anyway. If you're in a side lane, be sure to point out to your fellow laner what synergies your two heroes possess, and regardless of how it goes, immediately run at the enemy heroes like a monkey and hope that it works out. You're going to be doing that for the remainder of the game as soon as you hit level 6, so you may as well get some practice in early. No matter how things are going, when you hit the later stages of level 5, you want to make sure that you have enough HP and mana to take full advantage of your level 6 power spike. Ideally, you hit level 6 and jump scare the enemy heroes by popping ult and rebounding on top of them and turning them into a pile of dust before they can even react. Once you've done this, your opposition will no longer be able to be in the lane with you, and you can take advantage of that by slowly chipping down the tower, pulling creep waves, ganking, farming, whatever you want to do. You're going to go phase boots with an optional bottle if you're playing mid lane, and then right into an Aghanim Scepter. This item causes all of the pulses during your ultimate to silence opponents for 1 second, and it will also emit a pulse whenever you use any of your other abilities, and it also lowers the cooldown by 10 seconds. It's a metric ton of value for 4,200 gold, so pick that up, followed by either a BKB or a Skull Basher depending on the enemy lineup. With those 3 items, you are now an absolute teamfight menace, and you can man-fight nearly any hero in the game that can't run away from you fast enough. For man-fighting purposes, you can pick up an Aghanim Shard, which allows you to target enemies as the jump-off point for your rebound, and pick up a Blink Dagger if you need to micromanage your positioning. With that item, you can now use Pick Me Up in order to escort your teammate out of the fight and then blink right back in, like a wonky hostage exchange situation. One notable downside of Marci is that she's not very good at hitting creeps, so she really lends herself well to a Death Ball lineup where you can farm enemy heroes instead. Pop Smokes of Deceit, run around with your team, and crack enemy heroes open like a hard-shell crab to get at the tender, juicy meat within. And with their blood still on your hands, you can use the remainder of your ultimate to focus down objectives like Tower, Roshan, or even Tormentor. Unfortunately, a side effect of your incredibly aggressive playstyle could be a couple of deaths throughout the match, so be sure to have manga decks open on your second monitor to entertain yourself as you wait. I wrote a little bit about the interesting overlap between anime enthusiasm and Dota 2, feel free to read it if you like. Now if you're tired of losing to this hero, or you can't stand the idea of getting out-man-fought by a punch monkey with half your net worth, here is how to beat Marci. A lot of it comes down to dealing with Unleash, and the obvious answer, though difficult to apply, is to just kite her. Rebound is going to be her only method of engaging with the enemy team for the bulk of the match unless she picks up a Blink Dagger, so if you're able to force her to use it defensively, she won't be able to jump on top of your heroes. With the Pick Me Up facet, you can also force her to use it defensively by targeting her teammates instead of herself, lest they get upset and report her. There are also a wide variety of items that can contribute to kiting her, such as a Glimmer Cape, Ghost Scepter, Force Staff, Hurricane Pike, pretty much anything. If you have a Yule Scepter, you can cast it on the Marci in the middle of her using Rebound, taking away both her only mobility tool and keeping her away from the rest of your backline. But of course, none of this advice is going to matter once she picks up a BKB or if she's already on top of you, which is why anti-right-click strats often work well against her. Troll Warlord is an amazing counter because he can use the blind off of his whirling axes in order to take her out of half of the fight, as are heroes like Brewmaster and Nature's Prophet who are able to keep her away or use the ultimate in order to dodge most of Unleash. If Heaven's Halberd was a real item right now, I would recommend that, but Butterfly is amazing for its evasion. And lastly, there are a couple of heroes who can use their unfair abilities in order to win a man fight. Dark Willow's Shadow Realm makes her incredibly difficult to fight against because it makes her immune to right clicks and completely untargetable, allowing her to disengage or pick up an Aghanim Scepter and throw it right back at Marci herself. And Monkey King can take advantage of the breaks between the flurries of Unleash in order to stack up Jingu and use his stun to get back up to full HP. And if push truly comes to shove, you can always type 6 random numbers in all chat and hit enter and wait for the Marci to tab out and see what it leads to on N-Hentai. In conclusion, Marci is a winnerific hero, and you should absolutely play her. For the guys who have that cat girl sticking her tongue out as their profile picture, Marci's death in the anime was their personal 9/11. By the way, that ubiquitous image comes from the game Miss Neko 3, a $3 puzzle hentai match game. Peace on planet Earth.